How's it going, everybody? This is your boy Juzo the Wizard, and I'm back. I'm back with a review of Chrono Odyssey. I played the entire weekend, and I thought I'd just give you guys my view, my takes. My review. I played the entire weekend. I played probably like 30 to 40 hours of the game, and I'm here to tell it like it is. Call a spade, and say what needs to be said. There's a lot of people on the internet right now talking about how Chrono Odyssey is bad, right? Chrono Odyssey sucks, and I'm gonna tell you what it is. So first, let's get into it. Let's talk about the combat. Combat, is it fluid? Is it satisfying? No, and yes. Is it fluid? No, it's a bit choppy at times. It has this, but it's very satisfying. Let's call it what it is. It's very satisfying. Um, it's supposed to be on mobile too, and through playing it, you can barely tell that it's supposed to be for mobile as well. You know, they did a very good job of making things feel unique. You know, the identities feel unique. It's overall very satisfying. Is it fluid? Now, that's where we kind of get into some things because as you're fighting, sometimes it just feels a bit janky, right? And it is to be expected. This is a playtest. This is a closed beta. This is a beta. This is not the full release of the game. So I wasn't going in expecting there to be a crazy amount of I wasn't going in expecting there to be a crazy amount of. I didn't go into the game thinking there was going to be a crazy amount of optimization. I knew it wasn't going to be very optimized, especially how hush hush they'd been over the game itself. So I knew it wasn't going to be very optimized. It was more optimized than I thought. For optimization, I'd give them a solid 6.5 to 7. Um, it was pretty decent. It wasn't crazy bad. I found myself wanting to come back. Let's talk about classes. For the classes, for the beta, there was Ranger, Berserker, and Swordsman. All three of these were, the classes we were able to play. And I played the Berserker. That was who I played. I did play a few hours on Swordsman and Ranger respectively, so I can get a good feel of everyone's classes and identities, right? So let's talk about the Berserker. He's the main one I played, and so, you know, we're just gonna get right into the nitty gritty. My beginning part of playing the game, like the first 20 minutes, before I really started to understand what I was doing, I liked the Berserker. I feel like he's very flashy. A lot of people who play Unga Bunga characters, maybe like, Berserker in Black Desert, Berserker in Terra, you're really gonna enjoy this class. It's very flashy. Chain blades are very good. The battle axe is very good. The twin axes are very good. The each item that he wields is very good. Now, when it comes to the abilities of the Berserker, right? So me personally, I had a problem. So I said the first 10 minutes was good. I enjoyed how flashy it was, and I enjoyed the vibe that the Berserker was giving me. But that quickly changed once I started playing the Berserker, his moves and abilities cost health, and so as I'm using him, I'm killing myself. So I was dying a lot. I was dying a ton, before I really started to understand what I was doing. And then it comes to find out that one of the abilities is misnamed, or its description is misnamed. And so, I thought I had something that I didn't have. And it took me until, maybe 20 hours in to finally understand, hey, this ability is broken. I need to adjust this ability. It's not doing what it says it's supposed to do, right? Once I had my build set up, once I got enough skill points to once I got enough skill points, I completely started to smash the game as the Berserker. I stopped relying on, hit and run tactics. I became more aggressive. I started to have the aggressive playstyle that was initially what I wanted for the Berserker, at least with the chain blades, right? So, chain blades had a little hiccup. Hopefully they fix that, right? Then we had the twin axes. Twin axes were fun. They didn't give me any hiccups or anything like that. Um, I found myself using the chain blades for like, AoE and clearing mobs, and I found myself using the twin axes for boss fighting. It has a very good buff that you can put on to, augment your damage and make yourself, a bit stronger and quicker, right? So you get movement speed buffs, you get attack buffs, all these kinds of buffs, which are really good. They're really nice and they fit and flow well on the Berserker, and they flow well on the twin axes. Um, the battle axe, it was nice. I liked it. Um, it it felt very clunky at times, though. That's something I would like for them to fix as well when it comes to the battle axe. The battle axe has the block. It doesn't have a parry, but it has a block, which is really nice. And once I found the block, I found myself using the battle axe so that I can block different things I'm going to talk about later. Um, the identity of the Berserker, because every single class has an identity. They have a special move. I think that's what they called it, right? The Berserkers, I can't remember what it's called at this very moment, but pretty much he yells out, he gets a bunch of stamina, and all of your stacks that you have, you heal yourself for those stacks, right? And each weapon had its own special move, right? The Berserker special move for the chain blades, very nice. You scream out any bloodlust stacks you have, you heal yourself for those bloodlust stacks. Very nice, right? You also get your rage, which is really good. It helps you. The twin axes, it gives you the damage augmenting buff. That's its special move. Very good, as I said before. The uh, the battle axe has a block. Very nice. You can use it, block attacks, keep yourself still standing. Because once you go prone, the enemies and bosses will just they'll slap you, right? So you always want to keep yourself on your feet. Now, I got to see. I only made it to level 15 on the Berserker. I beat the whole thing at level 15, and so another cool thing that they added that I think is really cool is that they have these. other abilities. They're like class abilities, right? So you have ability that you can take for your class. And so, these are really nice abilities. I think this was a good move. Um, Having these abilities inside of the game, it really, it really fleshed together the whole idea of you having multiple weapons, but now you have an overarching class ability that you're going to work toward to make your own combinations. It gives you more customization with your class. Very nice. And so now we're going to move into the Ranger. Now, for the Ranger and Swordsman, I never really made it to their class abilities. I only got to play, a few hours apiece on each one. And but I will say I did get to understand them, right? Even without the class abilities, I don't really need the class abilities to understand the class. We'll start with Swordsman. Swordsman, I feel like he is going to be more of the meta pick. For sure, hands down, he's going to be more of the meta pick because he's very quick, he's very agile, he has a parry, right? And so he runs dual swords. He also runs sword and shield, and he runs a great sword, right? We'll start with the great sword. Great sword, great weapon. It's very slow, and your character holds it awkwardly sometimes. But you know what? That's fine, right? Its special move is that it can charge up a super slash. Very nice. We love that, right? We love that. Now, as I was playing it, it's flashy enough and it's very strong. It's very strong. I feel like PvP, you're gonna knock people the hell down with it. You're gonna roll people over with this weapon. It's really good. It's a good weapon, right? We're gonna move into the dual blades. Dual blades, that's my personal favorite. It is very quick. It's every weapon really has its own kind of like element. I started to notice, right? Every weapon kind of had an element that was attached with it, and the dual blades was lightning. Very good pick. Lightning quick strikes. It has very big AoEs, lots of attacks. If you like to flood your opponent, this is the weapon. I loved this weapon, hands down. If I would have started as a swordsman, I would spec this for sure, hands down, right? Then we have sword and shield. Now, if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a big sword and shield fan. I really don't mess with the sword and shield too often. I'm more of a magic user, and if I'm not going to use magic, then I'm going to be this, quick slashing assassin. I go for that when I play MMOs. That is my own personal play style. I play tanks too. I try to fill. I try to be the either way. Sword and Shield. Normally don't play it. I normally hate Sword and Shield because they're clunky, they're slow. But this Sword and Shield felt really good to play. It felt amazing to play. And that's saying something. If you watch any of my Dark Souls videos, any of my Elden Ring, anything that I play, you'll know I do not play Sword and Shield. I don't even pick it up. I don't even look in its direction. Sword and Shield felt good. It's very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. You have a lot of attacks. Feels good to play. Its special move is a block. That's it. It has a block. Negates damage. really good. It's kind of like the battle axe in that aspect. I would keep this. This is really good for PvP, PvE. It's just good. It was good all the way around. I loved it, right? I loved it. Also, time it well. You can do a parry. You can open them up. I didn't really get to test it against the boss, but I would assume that you can't parry bosses. By the way this game has kind of been playing, I'm gonna assume you can't parry bosses, but you can open up enemies, and it feels really good when you do. The combat feels very meaty when it comes to this game. No freaky. It feels very, very impactful, and it's good. It plays to its strengths, but it's also a bit of a weakness because although it feels impactful, there's this weird momentum thing that makes you feel, rooted in place for a second every time you take an attack. So there's that. And yeah, either way, class is very good. We'll move into the Ranger. Now the Ranger, not gonna lie to you. I hated it at first. Didn't like it at first. I wasn't a fan. I'll be honest with you. Um, it has three weapons. It has a bow, crossbows, dual crossbows, and it also has a rapier. Now the rapier, just not a fan. I found it to be I found it to be out of place a little bit in comparison to what you kind of had going on. I feel like rapier could have been traded with the dual blades, but that's whatever. That's whatever. But the rapier, its weapon action is that it can deal a very quick thrusting attack in a direction. It costs vigor, or your little mana bar, which is vigor. It costs vigor, and you attack with it. It's very good. It does a lot of damage. It's very good. Um, I didn't find myself using that at all. I went for the other two options. I went for the bow, and I also went for the crossbow. I feel like those two, in conjunction with each other, it felt really good to play those two. If somebody gets close to you and you're not using the crossbow to distance yourself, you're making a mistake, right? So you have dual crossbows. Its weapon action is that you get like this archer from BDO kind of like dodge where you like flip into the air. It's called trick shot, and you take some shots and you do a flip and you create some distance. You can do it in all directions. You can do it forward, you can do it backwards, you can do it left or right, and it shoots out a volley of bolts. And if the bolts reach, they deal damage, right? Very good. This is a very good weapon. Very, very good weapon. I found myself really, really liking this weapon. Then we have the bow. Now, the bow at first, didn't like it. Didn't like it until I found where it's good at, right? To me personally, you're a ranger when you play this class. You're a true ranger, tried and true. You don't want anybody to get close, and you need to kite them. You are the kite class. You're kiting everybody around, and you're dealing bursts of damage to them in the kite, right? It just felt really good to play with the bow. Um, I found myself I found myself using the bow for long range. So let's talk about the bow. The bow, its weapon action is that you draw, or special skill. Its special skill is that you are aimed shot. So, um you're aiming the bow. If you get a headshot, deals more damage. And while you're in aim shot, you get these little they're like power shots, right? Enhanced shot. And you hit it, it does more damage. Hit it in the head, does tons more damage, right? It's very good. It's very, very good. Now, I found myself at first not wanting to play the Ranger, and then I started playing the Ranger, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, really well done. You know, I felt very mobile, which I feel like as a Ranger you should feel very mobile. I hope they don't really nerf that, because toward the end of the playtest I started seeing a lot more Rangers around. And I want to say a lot of people are going to agree with me. They might not, but I want to say a lot of people are going to agree with me in um their the Ranger just felt so mobile. The flurry of attacks that you can shoot off with the butterfly attack or butterfly dance and other attacks. It feels so good, and it has poison, it has bleed, it just has it really had it all for me. Um this is another class. I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be very meta though. I don't think it's going to be very meta. It feels like if you catch it, it's dead. It's going to be like a gnat or a mosquito. You catch them and they're dead. It's just how that's going to be. Now let's talk about life skills. Life skills, there's tons of them. Um you have cooking, you have processing, you have alchemy, you have uh, smithing, you have mining, you have gathering. You have tons of life skills. There's tons of things for you to be doing, right? And although I didn't find myself fishing very much, I did fish a few times. I feel like, in comparison, the life skills are. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, right? Because I'm not a big life skiller. I don't life skill really. I would say that life skilling in this game is going to be something that I do. It's going to be something that everybody does. You're going to be life skilling in this game. Uh, it's a part of it. But don't click away yet, because just because you have to life skill doesn't mean that it's going to be a waste of your time. Like in some games, I'll say like in Black Desert Online, when you life skill, you're really grinding for more of money than you are grinding the life skill itself. You're not, I'm not life skilling because I want to. I'm life skilling because I have to, right? And in this game, I feel like there's going to be players who life skill. And because it's easy, it's accessible, and it's fun, right? I wouldn't say fun. It's easy and it's accessible and it's fine, right? And so there's going to be players that just life skill. They're going to make all their money through life skilling. Think of this as like baby RuneScape. When it comes to life skills, there's tons of them, and there's always this feeling of going out into the world and just life skilling. It feels good. I found myself just, I'd find iron or titanium or gold or whatever I'm finding, and I'm like, oh my god, it's here. And I just start mining it. I just start chopping down red trees or whatever it is I'm going to be doing. I found myself, even though I'm not a life skiller, I found myself life skilling and crafting to get better gear. I love that aspect of the game. Something that other MMOs I've played where you craft and it doesn't feel very rewarding. This one feels very rewarding. You craft your entire gear, and you use that gear. You use that gear for a while. That's going to be your gear, and it's pretty good. I would say the fishing it has much to be desired. I didn't cook. I didn't find myself cooking. But remember, I'm not a life skiller, so I did cook a little. It's, gather the recipe and you put the stuff together. Cool. There's probably going to be other creators that talk about life skilling more in depth than I will. This was not my biggest thing. My biggest thing was chopping trees, butchering, and crafting my armor and mining. Those were the things I focused on. I wanted better armor. I wanted better gear, so I went out and I life skilled for it. So everything that has to do with gear, I got you. But if it didn't really have to do with gear or progression in some way, like alchemy, I did some. I did alchemy because I needed those health potions. So I found myself looking for herbs and, looking for wild berries. I found myself looking for those things. If I seen a depot of them, I was like, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to get those. I'm going to go. I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing and I'm going to go get those because they are that important to the game. And that feels really good, especially when things are important. Feels really good to do. Now, let's go into the. Now, let's talk about the visuals in world design. World design is great. At first, I thought it was going to be like a gothic styled, a gothic styled Dark Souls clone. No, Setera is much more than that. I loved the world that they built. You know, there's good and bad when it comes to visuals on this game. Sometimes, right? And this is kind of what I felt as I played. I played on gamepad, right? And playing on the gamepad, playing with my controller, I there's some good and there's some bad. So if you're a gamepad player, well, let's just hope that they fix this shit. Okay? We're just gonna wrap everything up. Final thoughts, hope to improve, all that in this right here. This section is gonna be final thoughts, hope to improve, and visuals. Everything. This is gonna wrap up right here. What do I hope they improve? So, I want them to fix Bloodthirst not activating on sweeping slash correctly. Okay. I want them to accurately describe what's going on with that skill. Okay. That's number one. Okay. I really want gamepad accessibility. Okay. I do not like using LB L1, holding that to use my abilities. That feels so awkward. It feels incredibly awkward. I found myself in the middle of combat trying to hit LT or trying to hit RT or trying to hit L1 or L2, R2. I found myself trying to hit that all the time because L1 or LB is not the button. Okay? That's not the button. I don't like that button. Okay? And if some people like it, that's fine. Cool. Cool. Right? That's fine. I adapted, I acclimated, and I made it happen. But I don't like it personally. I don't want to have to play that way. I don't want to have to play that way. I want to play the way that I want to play. And I need the controller to be more accessible to me. I wasn't even able to augment it at all. I hope that at the end of the game, or whenever the game actually releases, I hope we're able to do that. I would really like that a lot. that would feel good. Now, I said earlier in the video, I said we're going to talk about something, and the thing we're going to talk about right now is we're going to talk about invincibility frames. Invincibility frames, okay? Hitboxes of these bosses, of these enemies. The hitboxes of these enemies are insanely large, okay? That by itself is not so bad, okay? But, you know, some of the invincibility with like the Berserker needs to be tweaked, okay? It needs to be tweaked. Give him a little bit more. I like the animation that they did for the swordsman over the Berserker, you know. Give the Berserker a roll. That's fine. I can take it. I liked the animation for the Ranger. That slide was really nice. But the Berserker, it felt like I was getting slapped by everything. I felt like at some points, especially when things weren't working correctly, I felt like I was getting hit by everything. Everything and their mama was hitting me. From downtown, huge hit boxes would just hit me. If you're gonna keep the animation, if you're gonna keep the animation, keep the invulnerability frame. Just make it a bit bigger, just a bit longer, just a bit. And I'm talking about maybe like 0.09. Just make it a bit longer. Whatever. Like, I'm not asking for a second. I'm not asking for a second. I'm not even asking. I'm asking just for a tenth of a second longer. You know? Because it's already my dodge looks and feels a bit jankier in comparison to the rest of the classes. I just need it to be a little bit. It feels more Souls-esque, I guess. I just want it to feel better. It doesn't feel quite on the mark. It doesn't feel bad. Let me say that. It doesn't feel bad. I just want it to feel more quite on the mark. Um, let's talk about it. The lock-on system was actual dog shit. It was booty cheeks. It was cheeks. Okay. I found myself having to fight unlocked, and that fighting unlocked felt bad. At least on gamepad, it felt bad. I didn't like it. I did not like fighting unlocked. I can fight unlocked. I had to, quickly lock and unlock so I can fight and have combat, but that was after I acclimated to that style of play. And if that's the style of play you're going to do, fix the lock on, please. Okay? I'm not asking for much. Fix the lock on. Fix it. All right? It was angled down into the ground. You know? I guess I understand. But if it's going to be angled into the ground, right? Like the problem with the lock on was that once you locked onto a target that was taller than you, right? The camera was now it would clip through hills and other terrain. And so that's because it was angled down so it can look up at the boss or whatever you were fighting, which is understandable if you're on flat ground, but I don't think it works in the open world. I don't think it works in the open world like that. Okay? The lock on really needs some help. Okay? Um, I'm not sure how you could help it. Maybe if you could angle it more up, more evenly with the ground, you know. Maybe it unlocks if you hit terrain. I'm not sure how it would work, but that needs to be touched for sure. Final thoughts. Is it actually fun to play with others? I wouldn't know. I played solo. I'll be honest. I played solo. I played solo my whole game. But there was so many players that I was able to play, like if I needed help, I was able to just kind of run up on a boss, we'd smack the boss, we'd jump Kaisen it, and we'd kill it. And it felt good. Does it give the MMO feel? I think so. I feel like it is what New World could have been. I truly believe that this game is what New World could have been if New World wasn't what it is. You know, this game has a lot of potential. Don't let other people dictate what you think. Play the game for yourself and see if it's good for you. A lot of people are trying to, tell people not to play this game, and, that's part of the community I hate. The MMO genre is already dying as it is. We don't need more people pushing people out of the genre. We don't need that. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. You guys are pushing people out of the genre, and you don't need to do that. Personally, I had a lot of fun. I think the game was amazing. I found myself coming back to it over and over, all throughout the weekend. I wanted to play more. I wish it didn't go down. I was sad that it was going to go down. There was people asking in the chat when it's going to go down. Nobody knew, but we all didn't want it to happen. It was fun. It was very fun and enjoyable. So yeah, those are my thoughts. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. I deeply appreciate that. If you can give me a like, um, I would. It would help me. It would help me in the long run. If you give me, if you also like the video, hit subscribe. It helps me to make more content like this for future games, future uploads, different DLC, different things that are going to come out in the future, and it helps me to complete those tasks. Also, comment if you like the game. Comment if you got to play it. Comment what you think about the game. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. You know, join the Mana Squad today. I stream all the time over on twitch.tv/Juzo the Wizard. And this is your boy signing off. Be easy, Mana Squad. Peace.